Hari Om all. Today we will continue to contemplate on the two verses that we covered in the last 2 weeks, which is Akṣhara Brahma Yoga, verse 24 and 25. We have discussed this, but we are going to revisit it and look at both of these verses together today. Vijayji, okay? Yeah. Uh, So let me just read the meaning and then like we'll start again. Uh, so with 24 verse 24, which is Agnir Jyotir Aha Shuklah Shanmasa Uttarayanam Tatra Prayata Gachanti Brahma Vido Janaha. So here those what Sri Krishna is saying is those who know the Supreme Brahman and who depart from this world during the 6 months of the sun's northern course, the bright fortnight of the moon, and the bright part of the day, attain the supreme destination, or what's called Kramamukti or Devayana. And the next one is Dhumo Ratis Tata Krishna Shanmasa Dakshinayanam Tatra Chandramasam Jyotir Yogi Prapya Nivartate. Those the practitioners of rituals only, pass away during the 6 months of the sun's southern course, the dark fortnight of the moon, the time of smoke of the night, attain the celestial abodes, but after enjoying the celestial pleasures, they again return to the earth, referred to as Pitrayana. Yeah. So these are the two verses and the meaning. We'll start with this. Ishaji, you want to start with questions regarding the explanation here for both these verses?
Questions in the sense, Vijayji, I could understand it as it is only. I couldn't put it in another way. You know, as it is, I feel like Krishna is saying there are two types of people who will attain liberation or who wants to have moksha. Good people. It means somebody who is doing good. So there are some people who only are in the path of spiritual life. Okay, the brahmacharis and somebody who are yogics who have the very thing they do in this birth is take up the spiritual path without any connection towards their material goals. Okay, for them, liberation is obviously easy and they have a way of, most of the yogis I have heard and read that they know when to leave the body also when you're in that high practice of yogis. Not everybody. Yeah, somebody who's attained that particular sadhanas, they can attain their samadhi according to their wish. So that is like, it's not practically or it's not possible but for 99.99% of our Kali Yuga people. So what's the best way to do is while performing karma yoga, while performing our duties, to look for, the way we can attain liberation. That's like practicing, like whatever we have learned shlokas, like detachment. Whatever you do it with detachment. Do not attach to the goals. Do not attach to the result. Neither attach to your work also. So whatever you're doing, do it with full, what do you call, full knowledge and that it doesn't belong to you. But still you give your full. You give your 100% to it, but know consciously that nothing belongs to you and work towards it. So that is there. And then there are another set of people who are again doing their karma, who are doing their work according to, law itself. They don't go out of anything, but they are very attached to their anything that comes with the body, either relationship or the results of their work. They are not doing anything bad. It's just that they are not able to give up on the attachment what they have towards the body. So I feel the shloka, I think the 25th shloka, right? It says that these people, there is nothing wrong because they're so attached to the something. Whatever you're attached to at the time of your death is something which you will get back again. So you are going to come to earth for certain. So I take it like that, saying that unless you have a ticket, you buy a ticket, you go to that particular destination, right? So unless and until you want to take up something where you don't come back, you will keep coming back to earth, even if you add on to your punya karma also. So I don't know how to put it where such things don't, like day-to-day life. How do we take it?
Sure, Ji, sure. So,
And Vijayji, can I also add?
yes, please,
Yeah.
please.
So one thing when in the explanation part, which I was referring to other um, sessions run relay on this topic and the books also. While like from the jnana point of view, always they don't go on the literal meaning of the sun actually like going like through the north in the north when like as the day moves from east to west, or in the south, which decides how the jiva uh, mm, jiva's next birth is. While mostly it's about the knowledge, the jnana uh, of the Brahman, and what is the Brahma Jnana, basically what is the relation, right, between me, the Jiva, and the Brahman, right? That basically decides the rebirth, and like irrespective of all the good deeds, if that knowledge jnana is not there, still the duality is there, which means the jiva takes birth again, right? So I was also wondering, like, is there a different take to this direction thing, why Krishna talked about Uttarayanam and Dakshinayana? Like usually we always use this north and south for um, like north is like going in the right direction up, while south is going down, which is not right. Literally, that's how we interpret in general, right? So I was wondering, is there any other reason or explanation given for this usage, for why Krishna talked about this Uttarayanam and Dakshinayanam? Definitely because um, um, one is it that those masters always complete their birth, complete their life during the Uttarayanam time, uh, calendar wise as well. Um, is that also, does that also happen, or right? So how do you explain it? Yeah.
Sure, Ji. So, can I share my screen, Ji?
He didn't hear you, Vijayji. Did he?
Am I audible to you, Saranaji?
Yeah. No. Yeah, I stopped, and
Yeah.
Kishaji, I've stopped, and Vijay is now sharing.
Yeah. Okay. So, in terms of the literal understanding, what is that these two shlokas are together saying is that, hey, look, there is 6 months of the year referred to as the Uttarayana Kala, when if the death happens, then there is no more returning. And there is another 6 months also called as the Dakshinayana Kala, when there is a returning. So at the outside, it appears like it is related to time and death, and whether there is a birth or rebirth. So there is a celestial understanding about Uttarayana and Dakshinayana also. We'll understand that. At a overall, let's say, our movement of the earth and the seasons. There are 6 months which are referred as Uttarayana Kala and Dakshinayana Kala. What is that? What happens during that time? And why that is being referred here? Let's first understand that also. And what is the death that is being talked about? When the interpretation is there is a death during 6 months, when someone is liberated, what is the mental concept in that liberation? The place called earth is going to continue, and whoever that dies somehow has escaped birth and rebirth. Birth and rebirth means what? Being born in earth or some other material plane again. So that particular individual has escaped that, which in other words mean that has escaped to some other place or somewhere else unknown, right? That's the mental concept that appears when we start looking at it as 6 months and the death, and there is no more birth, rebirth. So it is as if liberation is getting away from the body is the mental concept there. So let's examine that also. All right. Like we discussed in our last session, when we are looking at our stories and our especially Purana, how it brings about awareness of the truth, it's a unique vehicle, unique instrument of truth realization. It is like the truth has been converted into easily relatable day-to-day experiential stories in some cases, or in some cases stories that leave a deeper impression in our mind. That way we can kind of look at it like a puzzle. See, when as an example, we discussed the last session about Ganesha, Shiva, Parvati, how Ganesha, his head is an elephant head, and how we have not seen any person who has a body of a human and a head of an elephant. However, this story seems to be lingering on. See, if this was just a simple, imaginative, fictional story, right? There are hundreds and hundreds of imaginative fictional stories. They may become very popular at different points in time, but they don't seem to continue to be the fabric of a culture. But if you look at the story of Ganesha, somehow it seems to be running through all the changes that this particular culture has been going on, what we refer as the Sanatana Samskriti or Sanatana Dharma. So it seems to be somehow deeply integrated into Sanatana Samskriti. So the way to look at such stories is they're not merely imaginative stories, they're merely some kind of a supernatural stories. There must be something more to it. Otherwise, how can they sustain? So to be able to sustain, there must be something lot more powerful in that story. And why that story format has been used, we briefly discussed that in our last session. When you need to bring about awareness about truth, one is you discuss the truth in its essential way. Like, for example, we talk about science, E is equal to mc square. We can bring about E is equal to mc square by doing all the calculus and all the mathematical formulations and showing the raw E is equal to mc square, how it is derived. It may appeal to certain minds, who are mathematically oriented, who may also be conceptually oriented to various scientific terms and terminologies, but it may not easily related by everybody. The moment you start discussing about calculus, integrations, or such mathematical principles, many minds may feel, oh, this is too much. I'm not able to relate to it. However, a story is relatable to a small child, to an adult, to an old person, irrespective of what we generally in society consider as intellectual capacity. Most of the people are able to relate to stories easily, if you notice. Whereas mathematical or scientific way of explanation is relatable to certain types of minds. Not all are capable of understanding them, right? So, therefore, if your objective, if you have discovered something fantastic in life and you want to share that with maximum number of people, then you would rather embed it in a story format. Why? Because it can reach many. Also, when you notice a story has a very unique format. A story or a puzzle has a unique feature in it, which is somehow it cuts across human layers of judgment. Because what is blocking you and me or anyone in realization of truth is fundamentally your and I own construction of various kinds of mental concepts. At the end of the day, it is the block that we may be carrying, a mental block or a foundational assumption, is what blocks you and me from realizing the truth. And it is that which actually blocks someone from listening and understanding the truth in its essential format. As a simple example, if let's say there is a small child like Sri Shankaracharya, you all know the story. He became a monk at the very young age of 8 years. For a moment, you yourself imagine that you're interacting with this Shankaracharya. Here is an 8-year-old boy, and he is coming to you and saying, look, this is how the various Upanishads have to be interpreted. You would have some kind of a reservation. How can this little 8-year-old boy understand all these deeper philosophical ideas of life, which many, many great people at very ripe age are still looking to study? So there is a certain assumption. What is the assumption in that situation? That jnana or realization of the truth is a function of age. There is a general assumption that only people with certain age can be ripe for jnana, for realization of truth. But if you and I have to see Shankaracharya, you and I may not necessarily recognize. See, today you and I know about Shankaracharya, so therefore you and I may even say that, no, I know Shankaracharya is a great being, so I will recognize. But if that Shankaracharya is standing in front of you, wearing a jeans pant, with a long hair with some tattoo, right? As an example, I'm just saying. And, is wearing a cooling glass and is saying, I understand. The truth is very simple. Your and I, your and my mindset may not resonate because you and I may expect such truth to be coming from a certain kind of a dress, a certain kind of a age, a certain kind of a speech pattern. If that person says, I don't know any of the Sanskrit words, let me help you in simple English. Maybe, maybe not. You see, like that, depending upon the conditioning that is given by the society, various kinds of impressions go into the minds. Or to paint another similar picture, if let's say someone has been bred thoroughly that the truth can be found only in this particular text, and the way this text has been written is in a particular language, and it can be interpreted only by a particular type of person dressed in a particular way, wearing certain kinds of shirt, pant, topi, whatever, then you may not necessarily open up your mind to truth coming from some other language, some other way. Why? Because you think, you means whoever that is, may think that truth can only be found in this way. So these become the fundamental governing fabric or governing assumptions, or in other words, fundamental belief structure. So the mind of a human has all these belief structures, and it is that belief structure that either can propel that person towards realization of the truth or completely inhibit. As a personal example, I might have quoted this earlier during the Dhyana Yoga session. I had interacted with a person who had been coached by his religious tutor, saying that closing the eyes and doing something called as a dhyana is all evil practice. And he was literally unable to close his eyes. And when we were instructing him, just close your eyes and notice your own breath. There was no other uh, anything related to any other religious text or sound that was being used. It was not a meditation. There are various kinds of meditation. For example, there may be Omkara Dhyana. There may be some other shloka-based dhyana. Those may still be considered as religious. Actually, it is not, but it may be, depending upon one's mind structure. But at that time, the instruction to that particular person was just simply close your eyes, notice your own breath. He was not willing to. Why? Because it had been deeply ingrained in his mind that such practices are evil. So, like that, you and I can also be the victims of certain fundamental belief structures, belief systems. And that belief, depending upon if the belief is on a certain truth-oriented system, it can actually help you. Or if the belief is where you are unwilling to examine the foundation of your belief, it can actually inhibit the progress. So this is the basis why our great rishis found out that even such belief systems can be cut through story kind of formats. Because a story generally appeals to what can be referred as heart. It is not for the brain. The pure jnana, pure science is for the brain. Meaning what? It's very analytical. It is right for a person who has the right analytical mindset. What is the right mindset? Analytically, that person should be willing to analyze everything, including his or her own belief structures. For such a person, an analytical approach is still very valuable. However, for a person who's unwilling, it is extremely going to be difficult because their belief systems start fighting with the truth that is coming at them. As a simple example related to our shloka, when someone says death and they go somewhere and there is rebirth, what is the fundamental belief system? The fundamental belief system is that there is something called as earth or the material universe which continues to exist beyond that person who is dying. And when such a person dies, that person goes somewhere and there is a conception of a heaven or a hell or some place. So there is a conception of a material place, say earth, which continues to be there. And this person is born into this earth. And this person dies. However, if you look at that death, like it happened in the case of my guru, Acharya Vinay Vinaykar, he was just about 3 or 4 years old. He was walking with this, the servant of the home. Guruji Vinay was born into a very wealthy family. His father and mother both were doctors, and we are talking about 50s. His grandfather was a high court judge. So very, very well-to-do and very realized family. Like Shri Krishna says, those who are really meritorious, they take birth in the right family circumstances. So Guruji had a royal environment, more like our Siddhartha, the King Siddhartha. So every day his servant would take him to walk. So one day when he was taking him for a walk, he noticed some people were carrying, 4 people were carrying, someone. And that someone who was being carried was sitting on this wooden structure. And he was sitting like this. His head was tied. His mouth, there was some cloth. There were a lot of garlands around him. And his leg was tied like this. He wasn't seeming to be moving. And everywhere were carrying him. And to that little child, this entire scene appeared like one very different, because mostly people, if they have to be carried, at least there is some movement. But this person was being carried, there was no movement at all. And also there was someone in the front holding a pot, and there were some fumes coming from the pot. And there were a lot of people around that, whatever that was being carried. And suddenly they would be throwing flowers, they'll be throwing, and there'll be some people in the back were crying. So this is the picture that this little child noticed. And he was mighty curious. What is happening? What is happening? He said, let's follow them. And the servant said, no, 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 this is not a good thing. Let's go somewhere else. But the child was persistent. He said, no, 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 let's go. And they carried that person to another place where some other people were waiting there, and looks like they had dug a big hole. There was a big hole in the ground. And this person who was on that wooden structure, they lowered him into that, and everybody started throwing mud at that person. And they were saying, Shivana Padakke Hogi Seru. Go reach Shiva's feet. So everybody was saying that and were throwing the mud. This little child also went and threw the mud, and they closed the pit. This little child was totally wondering, what is happening? This person is now being put into a pit, and the pit is closed. And everybody said, Shivana Padakke Hogi Seru. Go reach the feet of Shiva. How can this person go? Where is the Shiva's feet? How can he go? And why did all of them bury him there? So he went and asked his grandfather. His grandfather said, look, I am just a law person. I know what is right and wrong according to law. Why don't you ask your father? He is a doctor. He deals with people, health. He may help you. See, the thing is, many a times we think that, giving a straight answer is the best way to help somebody learn. But actually, when somebody is put into a path of investigation, especially when they're truly curious, is where a lot of opening up happens. So his grandfather knew that. So this child went to his father. His father said, look, I know only people when they're alive. I treat them only when they're alive. Are you truly interested to know the answer? Yes, yes, the child said. Then, look, there are some people who talk about all this birth, death, scripture, so on and so forth. I'll take you to some of them. Why don't you go and ask them? So this little child, he was taken to people of different religions. And when a little child is asking a question, no adult would lie. The adult may want to simplify, but would definitely not want to lie. So each one of them narrated whatever they believed to be their understanding of what happened. So like that, Acharya Vinay was initiated into the process of investigation. So how can somebody really walk and go when somebody says they are dead and gone? What is gone? And whatever that is gone, where does it go? And if it goes somewhere, where is that place? And how that is preserved there? And how does it come back? So like that, a childlike, simple questions. Because an adult mind simply accepts heaven, there is heaven. The one who is dead, if they have done good things, they go to heaven. Okay. What is there in heaven? Oh, wonderful things. There is so much of happiness, always music. But the body is kept here only. How can somebody enjoy without a body? And how that places, oh, look, there is Indra, Tilotame, Urvashi. Okay, they all seem to have body, but this person's body is kept here only. So like that, there are so many simple childlike questions that you can raise about so-called death and so-called afterlife. And the point is there someone who has died, gone to that place, come back to narrate? So all this then becomes a matter of belief. So therefore, one of the simplest way to look at all of this is in relationship to your and my day-to-day experience, what is death? At the most fundamental essential level, this is the viewpoint Vedanta takes. Vedanta doesn't explain the truth using some metaphysical concepts, using something that is beyond your day-to-day experience, or using something mysterious and mystical. Vedanta simply says, look, you and I have to learn to see the day-to-day experience with a slightly different viewpoint. And all that you are seeing here starts making sense the moment you and I shift the viewpoint. Using your and my day-to-day experience. So, using the day-to-day experience, moment-to-moment experience, what is death? If you simply ask, what is death? Death is what? Death is absence of a person. The person who's been there in a certain form and fashion is no more there. Who's saying that? Who's saying that this person has died? Somebody else who's noticing it. For the moment, let's assume that somebody else who's noticing is you and me. You and me notice a dog died. What is that you and I are noticing? The dog that was alive moments ago, running around, moving around, barking, sniffing, doing whatever, is no more there. It seems to be lying, idle. So death is always absence of a person. That definition is given by someone who seems to be noticing that death. So now, if you take a little bit of a introspective view, let's go into your and my day-to-day simple experience called sleep. At the time when you are sleeping, let's say you are able to notice some other person sleeping. In a way, when you notice some other person sleeping, deep sleep, in a way, it feels like there is no one there. Or now, look at your own sleep. At that time of deep sleep, all the things that you thought is where you exist, that is this earth, this home, whatever else that you constitute as the material plane, all that wasn't there. Even whatever you call as, various kind of mental images, which is what you call as dream, wasn't there in the deep sleep. So, in a way, the so-called person that you may associate yourself as was completely absent. So, what did we define initially death as? Absence of that person. In deep sleep, what is happening? The same so-called person seems to be completely absent. So, purely from an understanding viewpoint, death is nothing but something that was appearing is no more appearing. Something that seems to be there some time back, no more there. Now, if you go a little more inside and notice, go back to your own 5-year-old photo and look at your today's photo. Keep them next to each other. The 5-year-old photo, that body, is no more there. And your last 10 years old photo, that body is also no more there. So in a way, you can say that death has happened to that 5-year-old photo or that body. Similarly, 10 years old body. Similarly, now if you go a little more inside and look at the what you call as the mind also, there is a similar appearance of certain thought process and disappearance of the thought process. So in a way, mind also has been continuously, the structure of the mind, that the thoughts, what is birth? Some idea appeared in the mind and that idea disappeared in the mind. Maybe once upon a time, the idea in your mind was, I want to be, as an example, if you are 5-year-old, you would have thought, you would have imagined what you want to be. Somebody would have asked, you might have imagined, I want to be a bird. So I want to be a bird, that thought appeared. And after some time, that thought has disappeared. So in a way, there is birth and death for your thoughts also. So what you refer as the physical me also has a similar birth and death. If you look at it purely from an external viewpoint, your body itself, or from a little more subtler viewpoint, your mind, your thought process, they also have a birth and death. So in a way, birth and death seems to be happening continuously. How? If you notice, last moment has already died. It has given birth to this moment. So looking at it from that viewpoint, whoever who came to today's satsang at 7 o'clock is no more there in terms of, again, the body and the mind, because the body is continuously transforming. You know that the body cells are continuously dying, new cells are emerging. Your understanding, your thoughts continuously are changing. So in a way, whatever you and I refer as me materially is continuously dying and new things are appearing. So what is death then? Death is when you are attached to this changing phenomena, body and mind. I am my body. I am my mind. Then you also have a feeling that I am going to die one day. Because you see a dog suddenly one day totally becoming movementless. So it is a conceptual misunderstanding. It is like saying that when I go to sleep, I will die. But you wake up, then you realize, oh, it's just a cycle. There you are not feeling like that. But when you notice a body no more waking up in the morning, you say, oh, that is death. So what is death? The social definition of death is when some body, which seems to be continuously actually dying and taking birth, only at a certain point of time and another point of time is called as birth and death. You also accept that definition is when you also tend to think of you as similar. I have a birth, I have a death. And birth and death is depending upon, 60 years, 70 years, 100 years, 120 years. So all these are next concepts that you start superimposing on yourself without ever examining who is really dying, who is really taking birth. Am I dying? Am I taking birth? So without that clear understanding, when you are going to associate yourself to this changing phenomena, then you are in the Pitruyana. Pitruyana means what? Oh, I have died. Oh, I'm going to take birth. I've done good things. So, good things are going to happen to me. Simple example. Before going to sleep at the night, if let's say you had some happy thoughts, in the morning when you wake up, you will feel happy. You will feel light. Imagine before going to sleep, you had some heavy thoughts, some tensions and worries about what is going to happen to my life. Let's say there is some news about, say, maybe some financial problem or some health problem. If you have gone to sleep with that thought, when you wake up, what is the first thing that covers your mind? The thought with which you went to bed last night. So, in a way, your mind gets clouded by what you slept with last night. If you slept last night with an ignorance that I am a body, so therefore I am suffering, in the morning you will naturally wake up with the same ignorance. And you will continue to have the same feeling. When you went to bed, if you felt, yo, why this is happening to me? What kind of a karma I have done? In the morning, as soon as you wake up, all those thoughts once again cloud, and once again the wonderful feeling you had during the deep sleep, all that relaxation goes away in a moment. And suddenly, as soon as I wake up itself, people have a long face. Where the little child, when it wakes up, it has a very fresh face, ready to jump. But an adult with lot of thinking goes to sleep and wakes up with a long face. Pitruyana, birth and death. If I have slept with happy feelings, I may wake up with happy feelings. Oh, it was very nice. Heavenly feeling. Sad feelings. Ayoyo, karma, shurvaita. Once again, I have to face this today. How my day is going to be? Do I have to really go and face those people? If let's say you have had a fight with your husband or wife or with your children or somebody very close, and you slept with all that feeling, in the morning as soon as you wake up, it again clouds. Oh, do I have to really face? All that is like a hell. Pitriyana. So there is a again and again birth and death, birth and death. The path of the darkness. What is the fundamental reason for this path of the darkness? Being associated with the fact that I am somebody. I am this man, woman. I am this intelligent, dumb person. I am this and that. As long as I am this and that, I have birth and death. I have Pitriyana. Some days are heaven, some days are hell. Sometimes I'm happy, sometimes I'm sad. So this is a continuous cycle. Why? Because I'm holding on to fundamental belief system, belief structure, which is I am somebody. That is the most fundamental belief, most fundamental assumption. From there, every other assumption, every other castle is built. I am somebody. Whereas Uttarayana, or the path of liberation, is realizing that I am no body. And I can be anybody. And I, just because I'm playing a role, is not going to become somebody or that body. All of this is simply an appearance and disappearance in me. The so-called world and the body is an appearance and disappearance in me. Me as pure awareness. Realization of this is going to liberate me from what? From the so-called death. Because for me, for you, which you? The true you, the unchanging you, the pure awareness. For you, there is no birth, there is no death. The divine light of the self, which is what you truly are. For you, there is no birth, there is no death. But this is not a matter of simply believing. This is a matter of you realizing it. And when it is realized, that is the true Uttarayana, Devayana. There is no more birth and death. So this is the underlying, the truth, the Vedantic truth that is being expressed in this way. So in terms of our season also, we have this Uttarayana and Dakshinayana, which is usually associated with how from the earth you see the movement of the sun. 6 months of the year, the sun's movement seems to be northern oriented, seems to move northern. In another 6 months, the sun seems to move southward. In terms of purely how you and I represent north and south, north is usually up, south is usually down. North, upward movement. Evolution is generally seen as upward. And some kind of a downward movement is shown southward. See, usually when you say God, generally, you simply look up. There is a very intuitive understanding, intuitive way by which God, oh God, everybody looks up. Which up? That's a different issue. That's a different topic. But there is a tendency to look up. What does it mean? It means that the energy is moving upwards. The energy is moving upwards. Southward energy means moving downward. So another way of looking at this is, in your body, there are different energy centers. When the energies, and there is a energy that is powering this body, and if that energy is moving downward, meaning what? Towards the lower centers of existence, meaning what? Food, shelter, sex, all these things, it is going to bind one deeply towards the material existence. I am somebody is the general feeling, and that's why it's a southward movement. Energy seem to be moving downwards. The Mooladhara Chakra. Mooladhara Chakra is all about existence as a body. Very lower center of energy. Whereas as the energy moves upward, it starts moving towards higher centers. The higher centers, Agna Chakra, Sahasrara, all of these are realization of you beyond the body and the mind. So there is a tendency to move up. So the movement up is therefore represented as northern. Movement down is represented as southern. During the Uttarayana Kala, usually in the Indian hemisphere, it is a springtime. New things come, lot of energy, freshness, newness. So when you realize the truth, there is a lot of energy, there is freshness, there is freedom in your movement. And the Dakshinayana Kala is generally associated with the cold, autumn season where things are falling away. So when the thinking is in the lower centers, meaning what? The thinking that I am a body is the dominant thinking, then it is a very downward Dakshinayana. Just to give you an understanding of this Uttarayana movement, I found one very short video which shows from Bangalore, if let's say at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, when you notice where the sun appears, and if you plot that over the year, you can understand what is this Uttarayana and Dakshinayana. During those 6 months that we refer as Uttarayana, the sun seems to be moving towards north. During Dakshinayana, seems to be moving towards south. In reality, the sun is not moving, but it seems to be moving like that, seen from Earth. And this video is actually seen from Bangalore, particularly. Just notice that red dot called sun and see the date there, March 20. Just see during that March, May, see how the sun appears at 12 o'clock. This is at 12 o'clock in the afternoon every day, and plotting that. So it seems to be moving upward. And as you are in the Uttarayana, Dakshinayana Kala, the sun seems to be moving southward, moving downward towards the south. So this is again to bring about an awareness of the truth in connection to how things happen in the existence itself. The same thing has been given to us in another way also. There's a beautiful story you may know about our Bhishma from Mahabharata. It is said that Bhishma was lying down in Sharashayya, meaning what? This bed of arrows. And he was waiting for Uttarayana Kala to begin so that he can have a good death. And the story goes that is when Sri Krishna Paramatma took all the Pandavas to get the knowledge from Bhishma. Knowledge of what? Vishnu Sahasranama came at that time. The story goes that, Sri Krishna was very sad. And Yudhishthira and all the Pandavas asked, why are you sad? Oh, Bhishma is lying in the bed of arrows. But that is what you wanted, no, Madhusudana. You wanted this war to happen, and this is one of the outcome. No, no, no. I'm sad because with Bhishma, something very important is going to die. What, Krishna? Oh, you have to go and get it from him only. It is the most pristine knowledge. And that is how Vishnu Sahasranama came, is how the story goes. But that apart, coming back, so Bhishma was lying in this bed of arrows, waiting for Uttarayana Kala. So if you notice it like that, oh, there's a time when I die is when I'll be liberated. But look at the inner meaning of this. Bhishma, in Mahabharata, Bhishma is said to be Ichha Marani. Ichha Marani means what? Someone who can die when he wishes. Which means what? He has no way to be, there is no way to kill him unless he decides to go away. Who is Bhishma in you and me? The Bhishma in you and me is your and my own, you know who I am thinking. The ego, the ahankara, the ahamakara, you know who I am? I am somebody. That is the Bhishma in you and me. That Bhishma in you and me, that ego idea, that ego concept, that you know who I am concept, I am somebody concept, can go away only when you decide to let go of your somebodyness. Nobody else can remove your somebodyness. Sadguru can come and teach, but it is you who has to decide upon clear examination that I am actually ನಾನು ನಾನೆಂಬುದು ನಾನಲ್ಲ, ಈ ದೇಹ ಮನಬುದ್ಧಿ ನಾನಲ್ಲ, ಸಚ್ಚಿದಾನಂದ ಶಿವನಾನು ನಾನೇ. I am not this body, I am not this mind, I am this pure consciousness, Shiva Swarupi. That realization alone can help you get rid of or let go of somebodyness, Bhishma, Ichchamarani. As long as you continue to think you are somebody, Bhishma, the ego concept, is going to continue to linger. Please notice, through all the transitions of your 5 year to now, whatever years of your own life, the ego concept that I am somebody is what has continued to linger on. And that is what is making you feel, I am somebody, I am separate from somebody. Who are you? I am such and such. What do you like? Oh, I like such and such. What you don't like? I don't like such and such. All that is your own idea of who you think you are. That is lingering on, giving sustenance. Who is sad? I am sad. Why? Oh, because they came and mocked me. Why all this is happening? Because the ego idea, the ego concept is still lingering on. When will you find liberation from this? Is when you decide to let go of your own ego concept. Meaning what? Realizing that I am not somebody, I am actually nobody, or I am actually everybody. That realization alone, that is the Brahma. I am that true Brahman. I am not this chotu motu small person that I think I am. I am actually, I am no one. I am nobody. But I am actually everybody. That alone is the true Uttarayana Kala. That death of the ego is the true Uttarayana Kala. That is the death of the ego. That is when Uttarayana can begin. In other words, recognizing that I am that essence, I am that pure awareness, I am not something else, which is what is given to you and me in Vedanta as the rope and the snake prakriya. When you notice this picture, at the first instance, what appears? There is a snake. Why there is a snake? Because of lack of examination. The story goes that somebody was walking home in the evening darkness and he stepped on a snake and the snake bit him. And he came home crying, saying that I'm going to die now. Why? I was bitten by a snake. Where? There, near the bushes. Somebody with a lamp ran there and saw. And he called everybody, come, 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 come. Look here. And when he showed the light, what was there? A rope was lying like a snake. This person thought when he stepped on it, he stepped on a snake and the snake had bitten him. Was there a snake? There was no snake. But for that person who said, I got bitten, there was a snake. Why? Because he did not examine what happened. He did not understand what was happening. He simply accepted whatever the information that came through his senses as what had happened. Upon examination alone, he was able to realize that there was no snake. And it was actually a rope appearing as a snake. Similarly, there is no body. It is simply an appearance. In you, the pure awareness. And you are already that. You are that. You are that divine essence. That realization alone can help you be truly liberated. And that is what Sri Krishna is saying here. Those who know the Supreme Brahman and who depart from this world during the 6 months of the sun's northern course, the bright fortnight of the moon and the bright part of the day, attain the supreme destination, the depth of the ego, meaning what? Dropping the idea that I am somebody alone, or in other words, I am that supreme, divine, pure consciousness. Those who know Supreme Brahman. Whereas, as long as I hold on to the notion that I am somebody, those who pass away during the 6 months of the sun's southern course, I am somebody. When I go to bed with I am somebody, I have so much to do. In the morning when I wake up, that somebody continues the game of life. That is Pitriyana. So like that, Sri Krishna is saying, your belief structures are your either bondage or your true liberation. Hari Om.
Hari Om. Yeah.
Does this bring clarity? Are there any questions? Anything to add?
Yeah. So the way to relate is about the energy movement within our body in terms of chakras. It's going up. Mm.
Ishaji, you have something to say?
I was just thinking in my head, it's like on top, usually we say, when we say knowledge, we associate from top of the mind, from your head. So I feel, the more energy goes upwards, that means your knowledge is full. And down, usually feet and all, it's supposed to be dirt. You associate like that, right? So anything that is related to opposite of knowledge, anything that is opposite of your consciousness can go down.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's as I think I get that point that trying to explain through scenarios that is easy for everyone to grasp. Um, right. So yeah. And like this northern Uttarayanam is like looking up for or like up and out, while south is like down and come back. Right. So only someone like who's free can get released, while someone who's not yet free wants to come back. Like it's like a ball thrown up comes back again. And the one who's free, it's like a completely weightless thing. It just gone.
Escapes.
Not going to come back. Right? You're free from bondage. So it's like you're off the gravity.
Yeah, bondage is gravity for us.
So
Yeah.
I am somebody is a gravity that is pulling
Mm.
and binding.
Yes. Yes.
And that, there is a world that is separate from me. And I am born in this world.
Mm.
All are these concepts that are binding me here.
Yeah.
So I have to examine, is there a separate world? Who am I truly? What is my connection to this world? So that examination alone, that's why it's called as recognition.
Mm.
Recognizing the truth alone
Mm.
can liberate you. Recognition. It is not about attainment. It is not about getting something.
Mm.
It's about recognizing who you truly are, recognizing what truly the world is, recognizing who truly the divine is,
Mm.
recognizing who somebody else is.
Mm.
Only in that recognition can there be liberation.
Mm.
Also, I was just, as you were explaining, I was trying to find another way to explain what it meant. Like Bhishma was waiting for the Uttarayan. It's it's like I can see that, like, though he's ready, there was something which was holding him, and that was basically that giving this Sahasranam. That with that, like he he got free. Uh, More than the time, that 6 months, he was actually waiting for that situation for him to release it, and
Mm.
to another way to visualize it. That what was that? Oh, that binding. What was binding him to wait?
So therefore, as a spiritual seeker, as a
Mm,
seeker of the truth,
mm,
therefore the adhyatmic way of understanding, which is nothing but how do I relate to this, and how do I use this to help my own inner evolution,
mm, mm.
is a far more valuable way of understanding.
Yeah.
And okay, it happened thus, because rest everything else is again a way to okay, so if I read some text, I may interpret it one way. If I read one's commentary, somebody may explain in another way. All of
Mm,
it maybe not,
mm.
unless you yourself
Exactly.
are able to feel it.
That's why I asked. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it
go
just becomes a
through.
matter of
Mm, mm.
hypothesis.
Yeah. When I go through other text or other videos, lectures, it is the way they have realized it, or like their view, and it may not strike for me. So I was also trying to get, okay, how do I get it? I
Yeah.
think today this I'm getting this gravity thing, this binding thing today. See, like, what is pulling me down, and I think it also helps to see, introspect, what is binding me today, right now. Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And for a spiritual seeker, the Uttarayana may come not in terms of 6 calendar months, it can be many million lifetimes. Right? It's
So in that sense, Uttarayana is now,
Now, correct.
here and now.
Yeah, correct. One thing, Saravanan Bhishma, no, in story part of it, he was actually lying there, no, he was alive because he wanted to know who will take the kingdom.
Hmm.
End of the day, it is his only, right? Everything is actually, but somebody and all is fighting. He wanted to know whether he innerness that he wants Pandavas to win. It has to go to somebody who follows Dharma, his hand itself. So we can, as Vijayji was saying, Bhishma is the ego. Our birth and death. He wants to let go of that ego, right? So
Hmm.
there is ego in Bhishma also saying that it's my kingdom. Let me sit and watch who is taking it.
So see, there's another understanding of the Sharashaya, right? The
Ah,
ego, the individual's ego, your ego, or what you call as, me, or whatever else, I may call as me. Many a times, it goes through a lot of bad
Pavis-
things, no? Oh, I got insulted. You know what they said, you know what they did. All these are my arrows, no? They keep
yeah,
on pricking me, right? So,
good.
so I am lying in that. You know what they said. One day I will show them.
Yeah.
The pain is not caused to our knowledge. The pain is caused to our ego only. No?
Correct,
Mm. Mm.
because of who I think I am,
Yeah.
right? If I think I am a very intelligent person, and somebody comes and says you are the stupidest person I've known,
Hmm.
what a big hurt that causes.
Yeah.
Mm.
So still we let go, we'll be lying in the arrows of
Yes,
ego.
Yes.
yes,
Every
Yes.
day.
yes.
That's your and you are the Dakshinayana time only.
Back
Correct.
there only, we can never go.
Nice way to capture the essence of the slokas. Yeah.
No, it has to be two-way, no, Vijay. For somebody who says, okay, fine, Krishna said this, I believe in Krishna, and we go with that. And other way is when, everything we say. Otherwise, we can just say, okay, fine, Ganesha is a god, he has this brain. One way is to say like that. No, the other way also, it's good to know.
No, one way is to say that is for you, but the moment you are questioned, tell
Yeah,
me,
yeah.
then like you are like, oh, okay, this is where I stop. Right? If you don't know how to interpret it, how to explain it.
Somebody who doesn't know anything also, you can interpret, you can bring them to this platform at least.
Mm.
Because all these are existential realities.
Hmm,
Ganesha is your own divine energy.
correct.
So that pure awareness, which is very, very sharp, is your own true being.
Hmm, hmm.
And mouse, see, you when you are really, let's say, interested in something, many a times, for example, somebody may be interested in, let's say, stitching, right? They go
Hmm.
to all kinds of places to find some particular thread, some particular cloth. They can figure out wherever it is. It may be in some small gully, in some small shop. They know where to find what. So when you put your mind to it, it is like a mice, right? It can go and find out all kinds of information. See, a mice is, that's why the vehicle of Ganesha. Meaning what? It doesn't really mind. It can figure out things. That's your capacity. You have that divine capacity. And that Ganesha is therefore not separate from you. Ganesha is your own capacity. So, like that, each of the divine form that we have shows your own divine capacities. That is why we say, oh, when she sings, Ma Sharada was in her tongue. We say like that.
Hmm, hmm.
Oh,
Like,
when he danced, oh, what a heavenly dance.
hmm.
It felt as if Natraja only had come,
Yeah, the divine is what we see in art. Correct.
right? So there is, in all these various ways of expressing ourselves in life, our
Hmm.
our masters have found, look, there is something excellent. So that's why, Krishna also in Bhagavad Gita says, for example, among various chants, I'm Omkara.
Ah,
Um, so like that, he's said, what is the highest, right? So in that sense, our great rishis, who are essentially inner scientists have figured out what is the highest of the human capacity. And that has to be now made very clear to each one of us. So there are all these divine forms. Those are nothing but your own divine energies. And they are the divine energies that are also, in a way, when you see as an outside of me, just to experience life, they are there. Who's managing this earth, who's rotating? Who's managing the sun shining the light? Who's managing all this water cycle? So they see all these divine energies playing a role there and here. So it is for you and me to go beyond the mere concept that I am somebody. Then only all these other divine beings are actually true.
Mm.
When you say Varuna Deva, it is there. If I say this example, it may look like very mystical example, but still I feel it is important to say. I have seen that most often when my Acharya Vinay or Prabhuji, when they do certain classes, I have noticed rain happens those days.
Mm.
See, we all feel that these elements are outside of you. There are situations when we have prayed for rain and rain has happened that day.
Mm. Mm.
Again, to who you are asking. When you are asking for somebody truly, then that divine force comes through you. As long as you are not there and you are truly seeking for the benefit of others, all divine forms are reality of life.
Correct.
But for that, that small I has to be absent. Otherwise, the small I gets into illusions, Brahma. And that is where the small I starts seeking these mystical experiences, these powers. Therefore, beyond the realization, the divine life is not necessarily described. It is to be felt.
Felt, correct. The divine answers the divine.
Shall we end, Saravanan-ji?
Okay. Thank you. Hari Om. The session here.